In early 2024, Kim Jong-un issued a serious caution to the US by conducting a simulated nuclear strike, launching 2 ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan. North Korea's persistent defiance of global norms and sanctions, with repeated nuclear tests and missile launches, has heightened worldwide tension and concern. Despite the regime's assertion that its nuclear program is for self-protection, experts worry it might trigger a destructive conflict in the region or beyond. Pyongyang recently provoked by announcing a successful test of a new weapon capable of striking anywhere in the United States. This prompts questions about the nature and credibility of North Korea's claims, with significant implications for the global balance of power, especially concerning the US, South Korea, and Japan. The unveiling of this dangerous weapon demands consideration of an appropriate international response to the challenge posed by the rogue state. Join us as we explore how North Korea has surprised the US with the revelation of this new threat. North Korea initiated its nuclear program in the 1950s, receiving support from the Soviet Union and China to enhance scientific and military capabilities. In 1995, it signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, but delayed International Atomic Energy Agency inspections until 1992. A joint denuclearization declaration with South Korea was made in 1992. In 1994, North Korea agreed to halt its nuclear program in exchange for economic aid from the US and allies under the agreed framework. The deal collapsed in 2002 when the US accused North Korea of a covert uranium enrichment program, a claim North Korea denied. In 2003, North Korea left the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, and proclaimed itself a nuclear weapons state. It engaged in talks with China, South Korea, the US, Japan, and Russia to find a peaceful solution to the nuclear problem. Starting in 2006, North Korea carried out 6 nuclear tests in 2006, 2009, 2013, 2016, and 2017, each more advanced than the last. Alongside these tests, it developed and experimented with various ballistic missiles, including short, medium, intermediate, and long-range ones, some potentially capable of carrying nuclear warheads. After a period of silence, North Korea surprised the world by resuming missile tests, firing a potent ballistic missile capable of hitting any part of the US mainland. Reaching an altitude exceeding 6,000 kilometers, it surpassed previous North Korean launches. The missile covered approximately 1,000 kilometers before landing east of the Korean peninsula, marking a clear provocation. This display showcased North Korea's advancing missile capabilities, posing a significant threat to both regional and global security. Japan's Deputy Defense Minister, Shingo Miyake, suggested the missile might be an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, capable of carrying a nuclear warhead over 15,000 kilometers, potentially reaching the entire US. He highlighted the need for further analysis to confirm the missile's specifics. Although the missile landed beyond Japan's economic zone, it passed over Hokkaido, prompting public warnings and safety measures. Despite no reported damage or injuries, the launch blatantly disregarded global norms and resolutions prohibiting North Korea from such tests. The Japanese government expressed deep anger and gathered its National Security Council following North Korea's back-to-back launch of 2 ballistic missiles. One of these, an extremely potent ICBM, had the potential to hit any part of the US mainland. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida condemned both the ICBM launch and the test of a short-range missile as severe provocations endangering global and regional safety. He emphasized these acts not only violated UN resolutions but also posed a threat to peace and stability. Kishida urged a robust, unified international reaction in response to these actions. The missile launch posed a significant threat to North Korea's neighbors, particularly Japan and South Korea, according to a spokesperson from the US State Department. The spokesperson reiterated that these launches, like other ballistic missile tests by Pyongyang this year, breach multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Emphasizing the US commitment to defending its allies and maintaining an international order based on rules, the spokesperson condemned North Korea's actions. North Korea's tests included several ICBMs theoretically capable of reaching any part of the US. While some experts suggest North Korea hasn't perfected technology for long-range missiles carrying multiple nuclear warheads, its latest launch marked the highest and longest flight, showcasing expanding capabilities. Observers view the back-to-back launches as a likely protest against US and South Korean efforts to strengthen their nuclear deterrence plans, amid Pyongyang's increasing nuclear threat. In response, US and South Korean officials convened in Washington, agreeing to update nuclear deterrence and contingency strategies, including nuclear scenarios in joint military exercises. The international community condemned the launch, urging more sanctions and pressure on North Korea to halt its threatening nuclear and missile programs, endangering regional and global peace. An urgent meeting among the US, Japan, and South Korea aimed to strategize and align their response to the situation. They called on China and Russia to take a more active role in encouraging North Korea to denuclearize and engage in dialogue. The missile launch prompted doubts about the success of diplomatic endeavors to dissuade North Korea from its nuclear pursuits. As a result, Washington and Seoul intensified joint military exercises, deploying strategic US assets like aircraft carriers, nuclear-capable bombers, and a nuclear-armed submarine in and around South Korea. The exercises aimed to showcase the robustness of the US-South Korea alliance and deter potential aggression from the North. However, North Korea remained undeterred and responded with aggressive rhetoric, threatening retaliation using its nuclear and missile capabilities. Additionally, North Korea sought to bolster its relationships with traditional allies and rivals of the US, namely Russia and China. This move suggested an apparent effort to form a counter-alliance against the US and its allies. In September, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un held talks with Vladimir Putin to strengthen their collaboration on regional and global matters. Reports indicate that China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi met North Korea's Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs Ri Mong-ho in Beijing before the 75th anniversary of their diplomatic relations. During the meeting, Wang reiterated China's dedication to the enduring friendship between China and North Korea, emphasizing it as an asset mutually cherished by both nations. The enduring friendship between China and North Korea is a cherished asset for both nations, according to Wang. He affirmed China's commitment to supporting North Korea's endeavors for peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. North Korea's defense ministry strongly denounced the decision by Seoul and Washington to incorporate nuclear operation scenarios in their joint military exercises, labeling it as an open threat. The ministry cautioned that any attempt to use armed forces against North Korea would be met with a preemptive and deadly counteraction. According to the state-run KCNA news agency using North Korea's official name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the statement accused the US and South Korea of heightening military tensions and obstructing peace efforts on the Korean Peninsula. Tensions escalated after North Korea launched its first military reconnaissance satellite into space on November 21st, violating UN bans on its space and missile activities. This launch marked a significant leap in North Korea's missile technology, aiming to establish a space-based surveillance system to monitor its adversaries and enhance strategic capabilities. The missile launch underscored North Korea's resolve to pursue nuclear and missile programs despite global sanctions. In response, South Korea announced plans to resume frontline aerial surveillance to bolster intelligence and deterrence, prompting North Korea to retaliate by restoring border guard posts. Both actions breached a 2018 inter-Korean deal aimed at easing frontline military tensions. The deal was part of a broader diplomatic initiative for inter-Korean relations and denuclearization, but progress has stalled amid North Korea's provocations. China, a key player in resolving the North Korean crisis, is the nation's primary ally, trading partner, and aid source. China is keen on maintaining stability and peace on the Korean Peninsula, preventing a nuclear war or refugee crisis that could impact its security and interests. China seeks to prevent a scenario where North Korea collapses, reunites with South Korea under US influence, and alters the regional power balance. Engaged in diplomatic efforts, China participates in initiatives like the Six-Party Talks and recent summits between China and North Korea, emphasizing their friendship and cooperation. While supporting and implementing UN sanctions on North Korea, China calls for their easing and advocates humanitarian assistance, pursuing a dual-track approach of pressure and dialogue. China strives to balance relations with both Korea's and other regional powers to avoid conflict. However, its role is constrained by limited trust and communication with North Korea, which often acts independently and unpredictably. China's interests differ from the US as it opposes complete denuclearization of North Korea, fearing a loss of leverage, and avoids regime change to prevent regional destabilization. Managing the North Korean regime's unpredictability and defiance, despite international pressure, is a challenge for China. Dealing with the complex and sensitive nuclear and security issues involves various actors and interests, along with technical and legal aspects. Recent developments suggest China is forming a strategic alliance with North Korea and Russia, driven by a perceived common enemy in the US. This alliance reflects shared ideology, worldview, and historical and cultural ties. The alliance might present a challenge to the US and its allies by potentially boosting military and diplomatic backing for North Korea and strengthening resistance against sanctions. Furthermore, it could complicate peaceful diplomatic efforts to resolve the North Korean crisis. What are your thoughts on this? Share in the comments below.